Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Crystal and this is my social thread. So today, as per my thumbnail, I am going to be speaking about my time at the Knitting and Stitching Show, which was a couple of weeks ago now. I will also be going through some of my makes that I've been up to these past 2 weeks and a tiny fabric haul. Okay, so let's begin. The Knitting and Stitching Show, we went on the Friday, and when I say we, it was myself, Adele, Sew for Serenity, and Claire from Stitch Hem Sew, who have all three of us have sort of formed a bit of a friendship online. We have our own WhatsApp chat group just over sewing related things, and we've also joined forces with the sewing challenge that we created and started this year, which was the Selfless So April 22 challenge. So yes, it was the first time myself, Adele and Claire met up. It's my first time actually at Alexandra Palace in London, which, believe it or not, we used to live in London a year ago and I'd never visited the place. I'd always heard of the Knitting and Stitching Show, but I just thought it was a bit of a faff to get London transport to get there. I think it was a couple of trains and it was a bus and it was a bit of walking, and I just thought, I could just buy things online. I'm very happy with that. Now all of a sudden that I've moved 2.5 hours away from London, I thought, let's go to the Knitting and Stitching Show. So it took me, I ended up staying in London because my mother-in-law has a couple of houses in London, and I also have a best friend that has a house near her. So we stayed with them. When I say we, it was my daughter Sienna and my younger daughter Anya that came with me, because they're good friends with my best friend's children, and so they stayed in London whilst I went to the Knitting and Stitching Show on the Friday. And normally from southeast London, from where my best friend lives, it's 45 minutes to Alexandra Palace, which is fair enough, but obviously taking into account the rush hour traffic, I thought I would give it 2 hours. And in fact it did. I think I gave it 2.5 hours. In fact, we were supposed to get there for 9:30 and I got there around 9ish, and it took me 2 hours to get there because of the Blackwall Tunnel traffic, and then just driving all the way through North London is rush hour traffic for schools and for work, and it took me a whole 2 hours to get there. So I'm thinking next time, luckily this Knitting and Stitching Show only happens once a year in Alexandra Palace, so next year if I do decide to go again, I may as well just start from my house in Cambridgeshire and drive straight to London, because I know Adele came all the way from Birmingham. Claire also drove, and for both of them it was about 2.5 hours to get there. And from where I live now, Cambridgeshire, would also be 2.5 hours to get there. And I think it'll be a lot less faff in terms of not having to go up to London, staying over, all that sort of thing, and then just drive straight into London and then come home on the same day, which I think is doable because Claire and Adele did it, and I think they were back home by sort of like 5-6 o'clock in the evening. So anyway, we get there, it was lovely, we all hugged each other, and it was just nice seeing each other in real life. I mean, they looked exactly the same as what they do. Sometimes you see, I don't know, in the movies, you think, oh, that person looks taller, or they look, whatever, but they look exactly the same, beautiful as ever. Adele, she had a lovely leopard print dress on, green, and Claire had also green. Actually, funnily enough, we were all dressed up in green, although we didn't pre-plan that. Claire's dress was, I believe, I never actually asked her, but it could be the Davenport dress, I'm not sure. Claire's dress was from Hubbarding pattern, and not Claire, Adele's dress was from Hubbarding pattern. It was in a green leopard print. Claire had a green print with like little pandas on it, and then I had my green William Morris Strawberry Thief Lyra dress on. So we met up, we got some coffee, we sat down, had a little chat, and then the queue to get in was getting quite long. So once they'd opened the doors and the queue started to go down a bit, then we started on our way, and we wanted to go through the whole sort of venue, so we sort of decided to go sort of in an S shape so we wouldn't miss any of the shops. And it was actually quite fun to do this. It was we were just bumping into people as well, and it was I was approached early on by several members of the public who sort of recognised me, which is kind of a bit odd and weird. But a couple of ladies came up to me and they were like, oh, you're Crystal. I watch your channel all the time. Oh, how are the children? And I just thought that was really, really sweet. And then I think all in all for the whole day, I had about six of my subscribers that follow me came up to me and said hello, and that is so, so lovely. Thank you so much for coming up to say hello, because it just makes things real then, because doing these vlogs, you are essentially talking to yourself, talking to a camera, and then you release it out to the public. And it's just nice to get the real life feedback by meeting people in person, and for them to sort of say hello and comment nicely on you and what you do. Adele also got approached, Claire. It was really, really nice, actually. And my three kind of main things that I wanted to do at the Knitting and Stitching show was to see three of my kind of favorite sewing personalities. And I think for most of you will know these are all big names. So it's Lisa Comfort from Sew Over It. So Lisa, I have been following her since the beginning of my sewing journey, so 6 years ago now. I have watched every single vlog of hers from the start, apart from her sew-alongs that she does recently. I don't watch those. And I loved all the vlogs that she used to do about her makes. I really looked forward to those. I loved how she tried everything on, how she accessorized everything, and it was just such a lovely watch. Obviously now Lisa's very, very busy. She's got a team of people working for her. She has several businesses and she doesn't get to do that as much, but her team now do the Me Made videos, vlogs, and they show off their makes in the Lisa Comfort fabric with the Lisa Comfort with the Sew Over It pattern. So that's nice. So I have been following her for years and years and years, and it was just lovely to see her. I dare I say it was almost like a celebrity meeting, but I know that sounds kind of anyway. So I saw Lisa Comfort, and I said to the girls, I said to Adele, oh look, they're Sew Over It. And as I'm walking towards it, I said, oh, Adele, Lisa's actually there. She's actually there. So we walk up to them, you know, we're kind of pretending not really to be well, I'm pretending not to be fazed by Lisa. She's very petite, very beautiful, exactly like what she is online. And we were just looking around, and eventually Adele was like, can we have a photo? So that was quite nice. She came all the way out from her stand, stood with us. I'll pop up some photos, and it was really, really lovely. And we just discussed some patterns and things. And we also said, oh, by the way, we are the 3 vloggers behind Selfless Sew April, and they were one of our sponsors. So they were like, oh wow, that's you, you know, that sort of thing, which is really, really lovely. Then what did I buy? So my first purchase from there is so I bought, they had just released their latest pattern. It's a jersey pattern called the Estelle, I believe. So it comes in this little paper bag, which I think is quite a nice way of doing things. Paper bag, and they've just got the stamp of Sew Over It. I personally would have put the stamp here in the middle, and I think it just kind of makes it look like a really nice, you know, handmade crafty bag. And that's lovely. So it came in here, and basically it's a kit. I'll take it out for you. And it is the, what is it called? So let me show you the kit first of all. So this is a French terry floral white background. And you know I love a floral, so dark purples and mauves and greens. You get, I believe, enough, obviously, fabric to make the biggest size. And the pattern is their new Estelle dress. And it's this one here, latest jersey pattern, no fixtures and fittings. It just goes straight over the head, and it's got this lovely tie here. You can have it with a slim skirt, so more of a bodycon skirt, then a more flared out skirt with side slits. It comes in a size 6 to 30, and then it also has, no, it comes in a size 6 to 30. I think that's as far as their size range goes. But in terms of the kits, you have like a smaller range kit and a larger range kit. Measurements for this bust is a size 6, bust of 31, waist of 24, all the way up to a size 20, which is a bust of 45, waist of 38. So the pattern comes in size 6 to 30, but the kits came in 6 to 20, and then presumably 20 to 30, or maybe they 16 to 30, something like that. And it's a lovely long sleeve dress. It's kind of like a boat neck, but not a fully boat neck. It's not crew neck and it's not boat neck. I think it's somewhere in between. And that's what I bought. So it's a kit, and you get the printed instructions and the PDF, the A0 print out. And then I did ask them, you know, do we get the PDF file sort of, I don't know, emailed to us, what have you? And the answer was no. So for this, I am going to have to trace this out because I don't have the PDF file. I don't know if that's a pro or a con. I guess it is kind of a con. not having the PDF file because you have bought this, but then I suppose they would up the price if you did have it. Anyway, so it was £35 for this kit, and I'll show you the fabric. This isn't a Lisa Comfort fabric. It's just one of the fabrics that they had in stock, but it's a lovely quality. Oh, it's Poppy. Well, that's nice. I didn't know. So Poppy's a designer brand. So it's Poppy. There you go. Hello, Poppy. And it's a lovely, what's it called? Loop back French terry. And that's lovely. And then I had a look online afterwards, and no, Adele had a look online afterwards, and these kits actually retail for £55. And so it's nice to know that by going to the show you do get access to bargains, because when I first went there, I did ask Claire and Adele, do you think there are going to be any discounts? Because if there aren't, then you might as well just not go to the show and just buy things online, right? Although I know the benefit, obviously, of going to a show is, you know, like going to a real shop, you know, you get to see the fabric, touch it, smell it, you know, see what the color looks like on you, what the quality looks like on you, that sort of thing. So that is a pro. But I think if I was going to buy the fabric anyway, that wouldn't matter to me, and it would be the discount really would be the reason for me purchasing at the show. So it's nice to know that So Over It did have a discount on their kits. I don't believe their patterns were discounted, but I could be wrong. So I'm not entirely sure that their patterns were discounted. So that was So Over It. Then we went to, we actually missed Tilly and the Buttons. They were kind of near So Over It, but we bumped into a lovely lady who was a subscriber of mine. I didn't take their names, unfortunately, but she was saying, oh, are you having a good time? And I said, oh yeah, I've just met Lisa, which I'm very excited about. My next person on the list is Tilly. And she said, oh, Tilly is right next door to Lisa almost. So we had to go all the way back and we found Tilly. So Lisa had like the equivalent of 2 cubicles, and she had all her patterns hanging out. She had all her sample dresses out the front, and she had 3 of her, I can't remember the ladies' names, 3 of the lovely ladies that vlog for her and that work for her. The names escape me. But that was nice. And then Tilly, she had like the equivalent of 4 cubicles, and it was a lot of space. Like did she have any? Yeah, she had some sample garments out. She had all her books and all her patterns out, and she was very, very friendly, talking to everybody. She was happy to take photos. We obviously asked for a photo. And what was lovely, because she noticed I was wearing the Tilly and the Buttons Lyra dress, she said, oh, can I take a photo of you? And I was like, oh, wow, thanks. Tilly's taking a photo of me. So she gave me the Lyra pattern to hold, and then I held it up and she took a photo of me and she put it up on her Instagram and she tagged me, which is really, really lovely. And Tilly is really, really petite, very friendly, very bubbly. I didn't buy anything from Tilly because I have all the patterns of hers that I want. And I don't know if she was offering a discount, but what she was doing was offering signed copies of her book, which I think is lovely. You know, in the absence of a discount, you know, a signed copy of something is always quite valuable to the person that likes that sort of thing. Unfortunately for me, I have all of Tilly's books as well, and I couldn't think of anybody that I could gift it to, but I thought that the signed copies of books were a nice sort of idea to offer at the Knitting and Stitching Show. I'll pop up a photo of Tilly and us together. And then the other person I wanted to meet was Josie from Fabric Godmother. And so we ended up going to Fabric Godmother. I think they had 2 or 3 cubicles as well. They had their fabric out and their samples. And also I was wearing my Grainline Studio Tamarack, which is this one here, and that's made in their fabric. And basically they put out a post on Instagram saying, if you wear something made out of our fabric, then please pop by our stand and we'll give you a little free gift. And the gift was a pencil with I don't know if it was their label in it, but it was a pink pencil, which was nice. I don't have it to hand at the moment, but then I did want to get some fabric from Fabric Godmother because I was meaning to get fabric from there anyway. It was their Dolores print, so I have the Joni print. You guys know what I'm talking about. This is their bestseller Joni print in a viscose, is it viscose lawn? In a viscose lawn. Yep. And then they released the green version, which is the Dolores in a viscose lawn and a cotton lawn. I went for the viscose lawn, and I've been meaning to get this for a while. I've actually sent several messages to them via Instagram asking them when they were going to reprint this, and this was back in the summer. And finally, they did reprint them, and I thought I would buy it from the stand. And this is their Dolores, which is, ta-da! I mean, it is quite bright, but I'm really, really loving it. I think that would make a beautiful summer floaty dress of some sort. So they do a viscose lawn and a cotton lawn. So viscose lawn is a bit more drapier and the cotton lawn is a bit more crisp. And what was nice as well with Fabric Godmother, they had their own tote bags printed with their label. So you get that as a shopping bag, which is lovely. So that's really nice. So I bought 3 meters of that, and that was £45-ish. So there was no discount from Fabric Godmother. It was the same price as what they had online. The Sew Over It kit was £35. And then the only other thing I bought was, I'll pop up a photo of Josie and us. And then we wandered around, lots of there's lots of crafting things as well, like knitting things, Christmas things, lots of haberdashery. There was lots of, obviously, fabric stalls. And there was one really, really huge one. I think it was the equivalent of about 12 stalls. So 6 and 6. So it was this massive stall. They had loads of rolls of fabric. And it was M. Rosenberg and Sons. And I've seen them before online. I don't believe I've purchased from them. But their fabric was actually really, really good value. And they do sort of the Peter Horton prints, which are Liberty-esque, and I think they were doing them for like £10 a meter or something. And then some lovely viscose twills, which were like £4 a meter, which was amazing. Anyway, I didn't buy anything from there. I was very good, but Claire bought some sort of, was it William Morris-esque fabric from there, which she's going to make a Lyra in. And then the only other place that I saw some discounts, I don't know if the Rosenberg had a discount or if their prices were already that low, but the only other place that I wanted to buy something for, but I did hold myself back, was a place called Sew Box, and they were doing lots of their Liberty fabrics. Now, I do love Liberty fabrics, except that I have just bought a couple of sort of 2 times 3 meter pieces for my birthday. Actually, 3 lots of 3 meter pieces for my birthday, and I thought, you know, I should really sew that up first before buying anything. But at Sew Box, because I did look online afterwards, so in Sew Box they had a really good deal in terms of discounts for the day. So instead of £25 a meter for all of their Liberty Tana lawns, I think it was £18 for 1 meter. No, £23 for 1 meter, and then it went down to 20 for 2 meters, then £18 for 3 meters, which is really, really good, because Liberty only do their sale, I think, once or twice a year. Their fabrics are super, super amazing, beautiful quality. And they were also doing sort of remnants, but their remnants were beautifully cut and folded in plastic cellophane. So you had like 2 meter pieces, 3 meter pieces, and even those, they were going for like £40 for 2 meter remnant pieces, and so that's the equivalent of £20 a meter, which again is £10 off, which was really, really great. And I didn't realize, well, I did realize that they were discounted, but I didn't go for them because I just thought, you know, that's a lot of money to be spending on fabric, and I'd already just bought quite a lot of fabric in my previous Friday sews prior to going to the show. But then when I looked online, I kind of had a bit of buyer's regret, and I looked online to see if those Liberty remnants were on there, and they were at the higher price of £50 for the 2 meter remnants. So there were no discounts online. I guess that was like a discount if you went to the show, which is fine. I mean, you win some, you lose some. And then we just walked around. We got some lunch. We got some pulled pork buns with like coleslaw. That was really, really nice. We bumped into several other vloggers, shop owners. So Georgie from Hey Sew Sister, which was really, really nice. I think Adele really tried to find her because she saw her in the background somewhere, and she said, oh, we must go and find Georgie. So anyway, we bumped into Georgie. Georgie said, oh, hello, you must be Adele. And then she said, oh, hello, are you Crystal? So she knew of us, which was really, really nice. She's very, very pretty, very lovely, and she was with I can't remember the lady's name now, the lady that does the Stash Hub app. I'll put it down below. She was wearing this beautiful dress that she'd made from a fiber mood pattern. It's quite popular. It's like a blouse, but then she extended it into a skirt, into a dress, and she made it out of a green Lady McElroy fabric. Anyway, so we met her. We also saw Jen from Jen Led Create from. We saw Jen from Jen Generates from Great British Sewing Bee, and we saw Pigeon Wishes, lovely, lovely fabric and buttons, Ethel and Joan, loads of different places. So it was really, really nice actually. And then the only other place, so in Alexandra Palace, you have the big, massive hall where I think most of the bigger companies were, so like Sew Over Italy and the Buttons, that sort of thing, were in there. And then there was like a smaller hall, and that had like, most people only had like one cubicle per business, so they were like sort of the smaller companies. And that's where Pigeon Wishes were, Ethel and Joan, those kind of places. And there was a company that I don't know what they're called now, but they were selling, oh, Till the Sun Goes Down, that's it, Till the Sun Goes Down. And they were selling vintage patterns now and then. I know Rachel from Stitched Up has made a couple of these, and they are proper vintage patterns, obviously. And let me show you the pattern. So it's basically a shirt dress, which I love, but it's what's this called? What is it called? Everybody, you guys know what this is called, right? Button front, collar, belt. It's got a panelled skirt where you can have, I think, inverted box pleats or box pleats, whichever the one it is. And you can have it as a skirt as well. And basically they had some samples of it, and it just looks so beautiful. It was very Kate Middleton, very feminine, very vintage. It was really, really raglan. That's it, raglan sleeves. And I really, really liked the look of it. This was £18, I believe. And I said to them, do they have them in PDF? And she said, only a couple of the patterns are in PDF. And then I thought, how does that work then? Because it's a vintage pattern. How do they get it on PDF? So I was wondering if they actually drafted them, or maybe it's an old vintage pattern that they've reworked themselves, redrawn themselves, and sold as because let me show you the instructions. So it's like an A4 booklet. So it's definitely not the vintage patterns in the sense of the big four where they have the A3 sort of newspapery type instructions. So very different. So I'm thinking they may, I mean, I don't know, maybe I could send them an email or an Instagram message and ask them what the deal is with their patterns. And then it's also on like a thin paper. It's not tissue paper, but it's not paper, so it's something in between. So yeah, that's very interesting, like a vintage pattern, but kind of revived into modern, to make it modern, accessible in the modern format. So this goes from a size 8, which is bust of 33, waist of 26, all the way to a size 24, which is a waist of 49, waist of 42, bust of 49. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. I love the skirt version that they had on there, and I also like this long sleeve version. The skirt they made in like a beautiful pin cord, which is really, really lovely. And then this dress was like in a crepe in sort of a duck egg blue, and it was very Kate Middleton. So there you go. So that's all I bought. I think I spent only about £100 all in all, which I'm very, very proud of. I was going to buy other bits, but I withheld my desire to do so, and I was very happy with the day. Despite the place being so big, we actually managed to finish everything by 2:30, which really is quite good, and we were up on our feet the whole time, so we were quite tired. And after that, we just decided to say our goodbyes and then drive home. So now I know if I was to go again, maybe I could get there a bit later, or just know that I wouldn't spend the whole day there, so I could plan my day a bit more better. And what else? Who else did we see? Loads of other people. Oh, we saw Oyin from the Lush Cloth. We saw some of the Great British Sewing Bee previous contestants. They had a catwalk show, lots of little tutorials and things that were going on that you had to pay for, although people from the outside could still see because it was like an open stage. So I guess, I don't know if you had to pay for that actually, because the people outside that hadn't paid could just easily stand there and watch the same thing But there you go. So that was that. So knitting and stitching show, I think the price was about £18 to get in. Parking was £3. And yeah, it was a lovely day out. And if it's once a year, I think why not? But do, I think, research and know sort of how much things are in particular shops, just so you know whether you're getting a discount or not. Or even when you're at the show yourself, just go on your phone to see if you're getting a discount. And otherwise just buy things that you were going to buy online anyway, but that you wanted to see in the flesh first of all, just so that you don't sort of overspend. So that was a knitting and stitching show. My photos are on Instagram, and they'll probably be the same as what Adele and Claire have posted, because we didn't take that much footage or photos. We just said, whoever took the photos, can you send it to us? And that's how we did that. So that was the knitting and stitching show. So what have I been up to the past 2 weeks? So my last Friday sews, I showed you guys my heather blazer, which is here. And I said to you all that I didn't think it was me, and it got so much love. I think everybody was saying the blazer is amazing, you should wear it, it's gorgeous, blah blah blah. And so I have finished it for you. I just saw all of the comments and all the love, so I have added a button here. It's just the pink button. Let me take it off. I have added just a sort of pink plastic button that kind of goes with the rose of that. And then I have finished the lining. Just show you. So that lining, I don't know if you can see. Can you see it? So I have finished the center lining, and do need to iron that. I have finished the center line. I'll pull it up for you 1 second. Ta-da! It's looking a bit creased, but once I iron that, that should disappear, hopefully. So I have finished that. I am just waiting for a time to wear that. I think I would be able to get away with wearing something plain and dark underneath. And wearing the blazer, it wouldn't look too out of place. Just to say, I finished the lining with a ladder stitch, and for those of you that don't know, it's actually quite a magical stitch, which I only discovered, when did I discover this? I need a drink of water, bear with me. I discovered it a couple of years ago, when I was making little dollies for my daughters, and you have to sew up the back seam. And the beauty of the ladder stitch is it totally disappears. And so now when you do the heather blazer, when you do the back lining, it tells you to sew from the top, from the bottom to sort of midway, then skip a bit, and then from that point all the way up to the top, and then iron your seams flat. So then you have like a, let me show you, I've got like a sample thing here. So iron your seams flat, so it goes this way, and that is very, very important. I don't normally, when it says iron things in the pattern, like iron your seams, I rarely do that, because I'm just a little bit lazy. I think normally I press it with my fingers, but I think for this particular thing, especially because it was like a satiny lining, you would really need to iron that, because it will make doing your ladder stitching much easier and much more neater. So basically, the ladder stitch is quite simple. So let's just pretend this is the lining. So this is the seam allowance inside, and the reason why you need this is this line here. This line here, that creased line, that's your point of reference for where you need to pick up fabric to join together. I don't know how I'm going to do this, if it's going to work. So basically I've got my thread in this side here, and then I'm going to get some fabric from this end, just a tiny bit from this end. Don't know if this is going to work. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is my first ever tutorial. It's really bad, huh? So you get it from there, and then you take another bit from the other side. So let me do it this way. Essentially like a ladder. Let's take another bit from that side, and then keep going. Children shouting in the background. And then you take another bit from the other side. And then basically you keep going, and it's a ladder effect. And then when you pull it through, that joins together and you don't actually see the lines. This is the worst tutorial ever, and I don't even know if that's, just skip this part, but I just thought I'd show you that ladder stitching. Anyway, I've done that. That's done now. Perfect. So also in my last Friday sews, I did talk about the tamarack, and because I was in such a hurry to get that vlog out because I was going to the knitting and stitching show that evening, I forgot to mention quite a few vital parts of the tamarack. So I'm going to go through it again quickly. Well, not fully, but so this is the tamarack coat that I made. Where is the pattern for this? So tamarack. It is from Grainline Studio, and it's basically a quilted jacket, although I bought pre-quilted fabric, which made things easier. It's this one here. So what I ended up doing is at the lengthen and shorten lines, I ended up adding like, I think it was like 12 inches to make it a full length coat that hits just under my bum area. I deleted I omitted the welt pockets because my fabric's quite thick, and I just put normal side seam pockets. It also comes with a hood attachment, which is a separate add-on. So I added the hood as well, and everything else is the same. As I said with the in my previous one, it tells you to use a half an inch bias binding to bind it. And although I typed in double fold half-inch bias binding, this is what came up, and it was all this, and it's basically, it was too narrow. So if you fold that over, it's going to be too narrow. And one of my viewers said that I've bought the wrong thing. This is actually the 1/4 inch one because it's single folded, not double folded. So had I bought the right thing, it would have fitted perfectly. But I mean, instead I bought 1 inch, what's this called? Twill tape instead. And that's what I've used to bind all the way round. So it's all fully bound on the outside, and I've also bound all the seams on the inside, which it doesn't tell you to bind the seams on the inside, but I thought since I had it anyway, I've bound it all the way. So it's all seam bound. And then the other thing is the pattern is very, very easy to follow. So it literally is 2 fronts, a back, hood and sleeves, and the pockets if you want to add those. So it's a very easy make, but it does take a lot of time because basically for every seam that you're creating, you're sewing over that 3 times. So once to create the seam, once to attach one half of the bias binding, or in my case twill tape, and then the other third part is stitching the other half of the twill tape. So basically you're sewing the jacket almost 3 times because you're doing all the seams 3 times, which is fine. I think it was quite therapeutic in the end, and it was lovely to see everything all fully bound and nice on the inside. And then the other thing that I did, because my fabric is this denim teddy quilted, I had to line the sleeves because I know it's going to be hard to get in and out of the sleeves. So I basically just used some what is this called? Acetate, not acetate. Yeah, some non-slip some anti, you know what I mean, anti-static lining fabric, which is inexpensive. I think it's like £2 a meter. So I did that for the arms, and now when I cut it out, I use obviously the sleeve pattern to cut it out. But in hindsight, because the fabric is so thick, when I sewed the two together, my lining fabric was a bit too small. So in hindsight, I knew I should have done this, but I didn't anyway. I just made it do. And if I were to make it again, I would make sure that my sleeve pattern was cut out with sort of even like ½ an inch of extra allowance on the outside. And you could use either a seam circle from Generate, or you could just manually add ½ an inch of seam allowance all the way around the outside, just to give you extra room if your fabric is quite puffy. And that was all that I wanted to say about the tamarack. And then the other things that I've been up to, so I have made a dress, so my Sew Over It Georgie dress, which is my blogger project for Little Miss So and So. That's already done. That was done for my daughter, but unfortunately I can't show you that yet because I normally do a separate vlog for that next week. So you'll probably see that on a separate vlog if you want to do so, or on my next Friday sews, and definitely on my roundup of the month that will appear there. And then the other thing that I can show you that I have done is this dress here. This is a Be Curious dress for my daughter Anya. I'll pop up a photo of her wearing it. So you will recognize that this fabric is actually the same fabric as my indigo. So we have the same dresses, and it's a Liberty Cotton Tana Lawn Poppy and Daisy print, which I bought extra of because I knew I wanted to make my daughter a dress as well. And this is the Be Curious dress, which I've made many times before. This is my staple children's dress because it's very easy to do. I love the shape, I love the sleeves, and it fits well. And it's this one here from Ellie and Mac. 6 months to 12 years. Really, really great. Very, very easy to use. And it's basically a lined bodice, crew neckline. It's got buttons at the back. I've just used matching coral poppers from Prim. It's got a gathered sleeve here, long sleeves and elasticated cuff. And then you've got a gathered skirt with a ruffle if you wish to add one. So that's what I've made this week. And then the other thing that I made is a baby outfit, which I don't have anymore because I have already given it as a present. I'll pop up a photo, it will cover the whole screen. And it's basically a blanket, baby grow and hat newborn set. And the pattern I chose was the Brindle and Twig 43 footy coverall, very easy to make. This is, it was ribbing all the way around here and ribbing for the cuffs. I used a French terry, and then the blanket is backed with a white minky from Pound Fabrics. Very easy to follow. And yeah, so that's that one. And then the last thing that I made this past couple of weeks, Gabriel, can you just tell the children to be quiet outside, please? Yes. Thank you. Is this dress here. I don't know if you recognise it. This is the Wilder gown by Friday Pattern Company. And now in my plans videos, for those of you that do follow me, you will know that I said that I was going to make a lyra out of this fabric. So this is sort of a William Morris-esque cotton lawn from Sew Me Sunshine. And I was going to make a lyra out of it. And then my Wilder gown, I was going to make my Wilder gown out of this blue polka dot viscose. And last minute, I thought, no, I want to make the Wilder gown in the cotton lawn. Now, that was a bit of a mistake because the Wilder gown, I believe, needs viscose, more drapiness. I don't know whether it says you can use a cotton lawn. Let me check. Does it say? I think, yeah. There's fabric recommendations: cotton voile, rayon, challis or chiffon. So definitely not cotton lawn. So I mean I made it up anyway. I was very excited because I thought it was looking really, really great. I used contrasting just ribbon for the tie instead of making my own ties. And then the sleeves, it's a raglan sleeve here. And I just used the Onella sleeve with the cuff. And when I placed the Onella sleeve on top of the Wilder gown sleeve, they were exactly the same width actually. So that was quite nice because I quite like the balloony kind of look. And then I just think I just had to lengthen it by a little bit and then make the cuff for that. And then you've got the big tier here and then the shorter tier at the bottom. I did add pockets, Tilly and the Buttons pockets, and use their instructions there. And when I tried it on, I just felt like it was too much fabric, too covered up. Although I do quite like modest dresses, I just think it was too covered up, and also the fabric was a bit stiff. So I think with the viscose it would have been a bit more swishy, kind of, you know, just draped a bit more nicely. But as it was a cotton lawn, I just don't think it works very much well. I'll pop up a photo. I haven't even styled it. It's not even been ironed. I don't have any shoes on. I don't have any makeup on. But just to show you what it looks like on me, I haven't even posted this on Instagram. So my plans are, I don't like it. My plans are, I'm going to chop off the bodice here. The skirt is essentially a lyra anyway. Maybe the bottom tier is a bit more fuller. And when I've got ties, I just made these ties hand drafted, whatever, self-drafted ties, very easy to do. So I'm going to chop this off, and I'm going to keep the sleeves. Obviously it's raglan, so I'm going to open it up and try and match the sleeves. So basically I'm going to do a lyra top, so it will be a full lyra as I had planned in the first place. But with the sleeves, I'm going to open up this raglan part, put the lyra sleeves on, and see if I can cut it out to become a lyra sleeve, because I do like the I love the Onella blouse, as you know, with this cuff detail here. I just love how that kind of, you know, poofs up that way. And so I'm going to make a lyra dress out of this. There is a lot of fabric in the bodice, so I might even be able to cut out the lyra bodice pieces from this bodice, so it won't be wasted at all. Otherwise, I do have some extra fabric for this because I'm planning to line my Sew Over It Chloe coat, which is a burgundy wool, and I plan to line it with this fabric for the body anyway, so I've got fabric for this. So also this works out quite well actually, because I am participating in the Sew Upcycle challenge hosted by Notes from the Sewing Room. Oh, my brain is really bad today. And Karen from So Little Time. Notes from the Sewing Room. Oh, I'm sorry, I've forgotten her name. I watch her all the time. But they're hosting this challenge, and I do have a separate vlog for them in terms of my in terms of my plans for this challenge. But this will be my second entry for the Sew Upcycle, and my first entry is one of the suggestions that I made on my Sew Upcycle video. So that works out quite well anyway. But again, as I say, you know, sewing is all a learning curve, and this is the second time now where I've chosen cotton lawn for something and it's not worked. So really, fabric recommendations, you know, they should be followed if you don't want to have like a mishap like I did. And that's that. And then the only other thing is just a couple of fabrics that I bought from Fabric, what's it called, Rainbow Fabrics. So they were doing, I don't know, they were doing like a 40% sale. No, they weren't. Sorry, Karen from So Little Time had a 20% off discount. So I used her discount, and I bought this viscose, 2 meters of this navy viscose with a rainbow print. And if you see, the rainbow has sort of leopard print, different coloured leopard prints. And I know Ruan, Tamlin and Rachel all have this. I think they did their sort of collaboration with this fabric. I personally think my daughter would look better in this print, so I'm going to make her another Be Curious dress because I think they're great, and it's a nice kind of colour way for autumn winter as well, and I think that'd be really, really lovely for her. 2 meters of that, and then I also bought 3 meters of their linen, just in a black, just very boring, but just black linen there. And then also sort of their, I don't know what they call this, cognac fabric, kind of like a brownie reddy colour, terracotta. Oh, terracotta, I think it was called. And that is that. How long is this video? 41 minutes long. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching. To all my subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing. If you don't already subscribe, please consider doing so. Please also have a look at the rest of my channel for other sewing inspiration. I do interviews with other vloggers. I do makes videos, Friday sews videos, roundups of the month, that sort of thing. I also do the Sew Hayley Jane luxury unboxing, Little Miss So and So luxury unboxing, and the Think Pink subscription box. So yes, thank you so much for watching. Take care. See you again next time. Bye bye.